Hi, and welcome to a very late recording of episode 6 of Penn and CJ, our podcast called Currently Irrelevant, which I'm going to have to get into the habit of saying. Pardon us for missing a week. It was simply a bit of a flyby week. Like, that week blew by, and by the time it was Tuesday night and CJ and I were watching Bad Batch, I thought about it, and I was like, oh, we didn't record a podcast episode.
The Bad Batch show is not what we
It's
thought
not
it'd be
living up.
either, so
No, it's a
yeah.
little disappointing.
Hoping we'll be proven wrong. I'm sure
Oh, yeah,
I really
hopefully.
hope we will, but and the key of the problem there being again just too many non-advancing episodes back to back.
Sure, but that's the whole thing. How are you today, CJ?
I'm doing all right. Allergies are spiking again, but
Yeah, you'll
that's
notice that we
whatever.
are not in person right now. We're over Discord, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's
But
okay that you don't want to see me.
I'm glad you understand. Anyway, no, my dad and I were watching a movie last night called The Tenant. And I gotta say that is an example of some of the laziest writing I've
The
ever seen.
Tenant.
The Tenant. I don't know if you or Tenet, Tenet.
Is that the one about time moving like backwards before it's even
Yeah,
happened or whatever?
yeah. Okay. First issue with that was that the main character is known only as the protagonist.
Okay. Why is that an issue in particular? Because out of context, that's not an issue.
Well, it's just I don't know. This might just be me and my writing style as well. But when you're making a character, if you're not going to name any of the characters in the movie, because they haven't given any of the character names, that's fine. You know, we'll address them by their roles, but don't then name one character and just call him the protagonist because
Well, that's
that's
his role.
not within the story. Not within the context of the story. Within the story itself, yeah, sure, that's what he does. He's the main character, he's the protagonist. But he's also a CIA agent, so why can't we just refer to him as an agent or
Because in a storytelling sense, he's the protagonist, so it makes sense to call him that, I guess. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know. I'm arguing for the sake of argument.
no, I know. It's just it's in my opinion lazy writing or I guess just a bad idea, if not lazy, just a good attempt at a metaphor gone horribly wrong. Plus I also love some of the lines in it, like get you're lucky you didn't get shot by the bullet going back in time because like, getting wounded by one of these would be devastating. I would presume that getting shot by any kind of bullet would be pretty devastating to the person being shot, but maybe that's just me.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to get shot by a bullet going back in time because then you have to experience it going in and out of your body at the same rate. It's like if
How
I.
is that different from a normal bullet wound?
The fuck do you mean? How is that different from a normal bullet wound? Getting shot and then having the bullet pulled out at the same speed? That is way more
No, that's not
devastating than
how it
just getting
works.
shot.
That's not how it
Getting
that's not how
shot
it
by a bullet
works.
going back in time?
Yeah, it just
Sure it
goes.
is.
It basically works the. Oh my gosh,
That's how it
it's
would
as if
work. That's
it's
how it should
no,
work
no,
if a bullet's going
that
back in time.
not an dude. It's a movie. How it should work doesn't apply here. Point being, before we get too far into this pointless argument, that's your cue for a transition, Alex.
Oh, no, dude, you can't set me up for a transition. That's not how anything works. You can't set me up for a transition. What are you doing, man? Oh, what are you doing? All
What can I
right,
say? It was lazy writing.
I'm all right. I'm fully vaccinated, so flexing on y'all with my immunity. Yep, finally fully vaccinated for this stupid pandemic. That's wasted a year of my life.
Feel that.
As well as everybody else, and taken some lives. So I guess I don't
Yeah,
have it terrible in that sense. Um,
but it hasn't been a picnic either.
has not been a picnic. But as we move on and as things happen, things are starting to get back to normal. You know, more people are getting vaccinated, and that means more social events can happen. Mask regulations are getting lifted, regardless of whether or not they should, and people are starting to see each other,
Whether or
and
not they should.
that just I and so somebody's hosting a party, of like a big party. Like it's getting covered by the news. And so I wanted to share the invite to you because it's more of a come on, bring your friends kind of thing. So here's the New York Times formally inviting you
Haha.
to the Cicada Party.
I can see the title page, and after that, it's keep reading with one of these
An
options.
invitation to the Cicada Party. And it's just a
Oh my
little
gosh.
animation here of a cicada coming out of an envelope with a bunch of like sparkles. Any day now, our
Yes.
insect neighbors will host a once-in-a-cicada lifetime party. Billions of cicadas, part of the cohort called Brood X, which is the dopest name I've ever heard, will emerge from the underground tunnels to sing, mate, and die across the eastern United States. What a life!
Oh my
Dude, it's
goodness. I know
La
it's just
La
getting.
Land, but a lot more graphic.
I know a lot of places have had to like cancel outdoor events, whether it be.
Like any
Um,
good party, the emergence will be loud, it will be crowded, and everyone's invited. The party will be announced by a cacophony of cicada song as the males begin to gather in the treetop chorus to call for mates. The Brood females won't sing in the chorus, but they have plenty of other activities to keep them occupied. After mating, a female cicada needs to choose a tree that will safely harbor her offspring for the next 17 years, and she will use a saw-like appendage called an ovipositor to insert her eggs into a young branch. The frenzy of singing, mating, and egg laying will last just 4 to 6 weeks. Then the adult cicadas will die and fall to the ground, creating piles of brown carcasses underneath the trees. The soundtrack. We have a soundtrack. So I can actually the Brood cohorts actually consist of 3 different cicada species. So like it's really everyone is invited. The males of each species sing a distinctive song to attract others to their chorus. Males also have additional songs for courting nearby females, and they can make a rough buzzing alarm if they're picked up or handled. So here's a Magicicada cassini. I'm gonna have to edit that. That is horrifying to listen to. Magicicada septendecim. Oh my god! Oh no! Oh no. If that's what I'm hearing for the next 4 to 6 weeks, I think I'm just gonna have a nervous breakdown. No, that's horrifying.
I can't hear it, but I'm
Magicicada
sure.
septendecula.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
good, they talk in Morse code too. Oh god! It just gets louder in volume as it goes! Alright, I'm sending you the name of this species, and I want you to look up their mating call.
Yeah, I'm not putting that on my browser history.
What? Why? What? Yeah, oh, they're gonna look at that and be like, oh, he's into insect porn. Better burn him.
Oh dear, let's see.
No, it's a scientific research.
Right.
Male cicadas sing by using their muscles to flex ribbed structures called tymbals, a hollow air chamber inside the animal. Inside the abdomen is thought to amplify their song. Let's see. Oh, good. We're gonna get hit. Like Indiana is gonna get hit by the majority of Brood X.
We.
Can I send this to you? I want you to hear this. Hold on, I can just share my screen if you need to listen to it.
No, I'm listening to it. And it's kind of funny because on the YouTube recommended list, it's March of the Orcs right up next.
Wow.
But yeah, no, that's unpleasant.
Apparently this is from 2013 though. But yeah. Indiana gets covered by Brood X, apparently. Or is projected to.
Maybe this is when I finally get my flamethrower.
I used to love to collect cicada shells.
Oh, I hated them. I hated them so much.
I thought it was so much fun. I'd get them all and then I'd crush them down.
See,
Anyways,
my problem is not liking bugs with more than 4 legs and grabbing a cicada shell and having the cicada you just grab start struggling.
What? Cicada shell, not the insect
Yeah,
inside of it.
it wasn't. It
What
wasn't.
the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it wasn't
What?
pleasant.
No, why are you grabbing the entire cicada? Wait till they leave the shell behind and collect the shells.
I didn't realize that I was young at the time and didn't realize that it wasn't a shell.
You didn't realize that there was still an insect present.
No, that's what I just said.
Okay. So this sounds like a fun party. I know I'll probably be there. What about you?
Like I said, I'm getting my flamethrower,
Oh, perfect.
and we're gonna have some fun.
The Washington Post on Twitter provided what happens when they get a little too crazy at the end of the night. And they posted on Twitter an article, and their caption on Twitter was just, "The cicadas are peeing."
Pardon?
The cicadas are peeing. And then it just shows the cicada drenched in piss. So we're gonna that's what's going on with the cicadas. I'm not
What are
gonna
you
go in.
doing over there?
I'm not going into the article. Oh God. So the Washington Post said, yeah, and the article itself is titled "Partly Cloudy with a Chance of Cicada Pee."
If this doesn't summarize 2021, I
Their
don't know
pee is
what
like
does.
watery tree sap, so it's wise to wear a hat when walking into the woods this month. Cicadas pee a lot, that's the opening sentence, particularly during warm days, and when thousands of cicadas are perched overhead on tree branches, their pee falls to the ground like a gentle rain shower. Oh no!
Stay inside, folks.
Hold on, I'm
We
sending
did-
you
we
the
did it
I'm
through the
sending you the
pandemic, we
I'm
can
sending
hold
you
on a
the
little
image
longer.
that goes with the article.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
I know you don't, but you're going to. What do you think?
Close out of Discord.
Why would you do that?
I don't want to freaking see that.
You're not fun, you know that?
No, I'm not.
Dude,
Are you just
participate.
now
Oh
realizing
yeah.
this?
Oh no, it's a cicada. Dude, come
Yeah,
on.
it's the cicada part's not the issue.
This, my friends, is a man who cannot handle nature.
Nope.
All right. Let's see. What else have I been thinking about? What else have I been doing? Yeah, I don't know. I've been working a lot. Starbucks has treated me well. Had a weird thing happen the other day. I went into work to work. Didn't know how to
Wow.
follow that sentence up for some
That
reason.
was rough.
Shut up, CJ. I went into work
Yeah,
to
that's
do
not
my
gonna
shift,
happen.
and I walked in, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're shutting the store down." I walked in at 1 p.m. And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "We don't have a shift manager for the evening." I'm like, "Okay." And so we closed down we're working on closing it down, and after we're finished, then I find out that I'm being sent to a different location to do my actual shift. So I worked my shift at Starbucks at a different Starbucks.
Yep. Cross store employment.
I mean, I guess
I
it's
know.
kind of nice.
What was it? The other evening, my dad and I were going out to get Jersey Mike's subs for dinner, and we got to the Jersey Mike's out by your Starbucks, and they were closed down for renovations. And the guy out front handed my dad 5 coupons for free regular size subs.
Oh, neat.
Oh yeah, so we're hoping they close for remodeling again soon, but that was fun.
All
Oh,
right, so I'm browsing the New York Times trying to find something to talk about, and I guess we're gonna stick to the cicada topic for a little bit longer. Uh, an article. The cicadas are here, and for Chef Bun Lai, they're on the menu. Several years after he was ridiculed for serving the insects at his family's sushi restaurant, the chef sees another opportunity to change American minds about consuming cicadas.
oh
In
boy.
Woodbridge, Connecticut, Chef Bun Lai, I hope I'm saying that correctly, I really hope I'm saying that correctly, cicadas are mesmerizing to eat. Their sweet, bitter flavor reminiscent of walnuts, chestnuts, and adzuki beans. I don't know what those are. And their gently crunchy and their gently crunchy exterior giving way to creaminess like a soft shell crab.
Okay, here's his first issue. You should not be describing the insect you're serving as in any way, shape, or form creamy.
You don't want
That
the cicada cream? That's why
that's an immediate
that's why we're
turn-off.
wearing hats, right?
That's an immediate turn-off.
Every technique for cooking them brings out different tones and shades, he says. Mr. Lai, 47, is the chef of Miya's Sushi, his family's sustainable sushi restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut. This summer he's turning his attention to insects. As brood cicadas emerge by the billions in coming months, he will host a series of cicada-centric dinners at his farm in nearby Woodbridge, where he recently shifted part of the restaurant's operation so he could do outdoor events and cook closer to nature. Besides being delicious, cicadas align with his mission to encourage diners to eat in an environmentally conscious way. They're also a part of Mr. Lai's heritage. During his early childhood in Kyushu, Japan, his summertime memories included climbing up trees, following the song of cicadas to catch one. He said in that country, cicadas symbolize summer and rebirth. So he then, I imagine, ate them raw, because that's what I would do if I were hunting something. I would just eat it right away. Like, there were never any cicada shells left over when I was a child. I'm joking. His mother,
No, I
Yoshiko
got that
Lai,
part.
who founded Miya Sushi in 1982 and grew up in the Kyushu countryside, said that eating bee larvae was commonplace when she was a child. So, some people are getting use out of the cicada infestation that'll be on its way.
Oh yeah, well here's my thing. The biggest problem here, I think, being, you ever go to a sushi restaurant and been like, I could go for some bug right now?
I mean, if ever there was a place, I guess it would be an ethnic restaurant. Because it's not an American tradition, obviously, otherwise this article wouldn't exist.
Right.
I don't know, man. No, I'm not against trying new things. I don't have as big an issue with insects as I used to. I guess I just need it to not really seem like an insect when I'm gonna eat it. So if it's rolled up in a sushi roll, I think I'd be more inclined. Like, I'm more inclined to eat eel sushi than I am to just take a bite out of a cooked eel. You know?
What's the issue with eels?
What?
What's the issue with eels?
Just
They don't have any legs.
no. So the more legs it has, the worse it is to you.
Yes, I thought I made that very clear.
Fair enough. No, I just not as inclined to take just a bite out of a cooked eel as I am to eat eel sliced up and served in sushi. So if the cicadas were rolled up in a roll of sushi, I think I'd have a much better time eating one than I would just like eating like a cicada kebab that this is that one of the images on this article is featuring.
Huh.
While there are commercial insect products in the United States, many are geared towards masking the flavor and appearance of the bugs, from cricket brownie mix to cheddar cricket crisps. Yeah, all the way from crickets to crickets. I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with masking the appearance if you're still experiencing the food.
I'm gonna add in nothing wrong with masking the appearance, as long as you make clear
What you're
what
eating.
it is that
Yeah,
the person's eating. Yeah.
sure. Mr.
Otherwise,
Live.
that's just grounds for a lawsuit. But
Well,
moving
yeah,
on.
it's like not just with insects. People have allergies. You can't just not say that there's peanuts in something.
Uh-huh.
It'd be like
Which is
that.
again which is why that argument extends beyond just what we're talking about now.
Because locating cicadas can be difficult, they tend to cluster in specific locations rather than spread out. Mr. Lie's dinners, 5 or 6 in total,
Not this year.
will be planned at the last minute. He recently tried 3 times to harvest cicadas in Washington, D.C., an epicenter of brood X, succeeding only on his final attempt when he and 2 friends picked thousands of cicadas off trees in Tyson, Virginia. Cicadas are served raw, in red miso soup made with a seaweed and mushroom-based broth. Raw? No. No, I'm sorry. I don't do things raw except for sushi.
Right?
Or
I'm
like,
not the only one there.
like maybe I'll eat a mushroom here and there, but that's just me.
Well, that's different. If it's a raw vegetable
Mhm.
or fungus, in that case, it's fine. It's when it's either a raw animal or raw insect. Fish, no, well, fish being, that's different as well. But
Well,
yeah, no, I'm with you.
While cicadas are a sustainable food, Mr. Lai is also interested in focusing on invasive insect species like locusts. The cicadas are a gateway, he says. He's capitalizing on Brood X's moment in the sun to expand people's minds about eating more biologically diverse foods, which eventually we'll have to. So adjusting to it now wouldn't be a bad idea.
What do you mean by eventually we'll have to?
Well, we're gonna have to diversify what we eat. Our current food situation isn't going to be sustainable forever. It's hardly sustainable now on a global scale. Eventually, that's going to catch up with us, don't you think? We'll have to broaden what we eat in order to maintain nutritional value and keep up our lifestyles.
I feel the lifestyles would deteriorate beforehand, but
Oh, sure. But then we'd get sick of that. It's like, I don't know. Mrs. Lai, or Miss Lai 77, who still cooks at the restaurant, said that when she opened Mia's Sushi, she was told that Americans would not eat raw fish. Now sushi is ubiquitous. She believes the same is true for insects like sushi in the 1980s. They are a centuries-old food tradition that invites derision in the United States. I had confidence back then, she said, that Americans' eating habits would change, and now so does Mr. Lai. You know what? Fair enough.
there are some lines though I don't think will be crossed when it comes to that, or some changes.
I'm
that
never
might
going to
occur.
eat a spider. And we're back. Sorry about that cut. There was a bit of background noise that I didn't feel like including. Belarus. Jumping from eating cicadas to eating the rich. Oh,
What?
what? No, I don't even know. I was trying to get a good transition. Okay?
Gotcha.
I was trying to like transition
Well,
from like eating cicadas to like activism, like eating the rich, that whole mentality, and then jumping into the
I'll
Belarus
be honest, I
situation.
did not see that at all. I was going to go with like
What would your transition have been?
moving on to a more international scale of global
Yeah, but that's
issues
not fun. Come on, man.
and eating the
Belarus is
rich.
supposed to eating Belarus is supposed to be fun. Oh my god. I got mixed up eating cicadas with Belarus. Oh no. This is where that countdown timer might come in handy. You know the one I was talking about the other day, the one above my head that just ticks down until I say something stupid.
Yes. But no, okay, Belarus. Last I heard, and this, I'll preface what this is in a moment, but last I heard, they've now been added by the European Union as a no-fly zone. But yeah, no, the situation there being they called in a false bomb threat on a plane in order to force it to land, sending a MiG-29 fighter jet to escort it to their airport because there was another one more nearby, so that way they could detain a journalist who was one of the leading members of the opposition against the present dictator of Belarus. Belarus being having an elected leader, but
Elected, in quotes.
yeah, and
Roman
that's something. Go ahead.
Protasevich was his name. Roman Protasevich.
Yeah, that's right.
A
Pro-
Belarus activist who
yeah.
refused to live in fear. I've got an article here. Since his teenage years as a rebellious high school student in Belarus and continuing into his 20s while in exile abroad, Roman faced so many threats from the country's security apparatus of violent beatings, jails, punishments against family members, and that we all sort of got used to them, a fellow exiled dissident recalled. So despite his being branded a terrorist by Belarus late last year, a capital offense, Mr. Protasevich was not particularly worried when he set off for Greece from Lithuania, where he had been living earlier this month to attend a conference and take a short vacation with his Russian girlfriend, Sofia Sapega. I don't know why it matters that she's Russian. Sorry, just a side thing.
I'm not sure it is crucial, but
It was
considering
mentioned in
Belarus,
the
Eastern European nation.
Yeah, it was just mentioned in the article. That was just something that came to mind. But that sense of security was shattered on Sunday when they were snatched by Belarus security officials on the tarmac at Minsk National Airport after an MiG-29 fighter jet was scrambled to intercept. Okay, so side tangent immediately here. Scrambled. I love that term. It makes me think about eggs. So I like to think that I like to imagine that when they say scrambled, like they crack open an egg and like a bunch of machinery parts fall into a bowl and then they scramble it and like it mixes up and then a fighter jet flies out of the bowl. And then it's like, all right, we're gonna arrest you. No, yeah. Roman, 26, now faces the vengeance of President Alexander G. Lukashenko, the 66-year-old Belarusian leader from whom he once received a scholarship for gifted students but has since defied with unflinching zeal. I like that term, unflinching zeal. In a short video released on Monday by the authorities in Belarus, Mr. Protasevich confessed under duress his friends say to take part in the organization of mass unrest last year in Minsk, the Belarus capital. That is the government's term for weeks of huge street protests after Mr. Lukashenko, up in power since 1994, declared a landslide re-election victory in an August election widely dismissed as brazenly rigged. Hashtag relatable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. So, classic story. Journalist, activist versus dictator. Dictator wins. Unfortunately, we don't really see it a lot the other way around.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do end up touching him though, just because, you know, whether it be imprisoning, incarceration, further exile, etc., what have you, or even just, you know, execution. Hopefully not, but I don't know if Belarus is in a financial position internationally where it could maintain the repercussions. They're already a no-fly zone for civilian craft, or at least on their way there. Which, bear in mind, other nations on that list include Somalia and North Korea and Syria, so not
Right.
something you want to have your name on.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, no, it's definitely your textbook situation of.
Whoa. Alright, that's going to show up over the Discord capture. Sorry, keep going.
Otherwise, that's definitely a textbook example of journalists gets caught by the quote-unquote fairly elected leader of the nation and punished for a list of crimes that they'll probably force him to admit to, is what have you, and it'll be a blown up list of charges, etc. Biggest problem there just being, you know, it was an international flight. Belarus really had no authority to force it to land, and especially
But
not
CJ,
in regard what.
there was a bomb threat.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Reported by Belarus.
Right. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, no, I know what I see what you're getting at, which is why I'm responding like that. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it's
Kind of ties into something, and if you saw something flash up over the Discord capture, that's actually a paper I wrote last year for one of my classes. It ties into that, actually, because I was talking about the impact of advertisement and public relations and executives in a whole on journalism ethics. I wrote a paper about that. And one thing that was investigated, and a source that I pulled from an author named Sally Hughes, was an article about expanding influences research to insecure democracies, published in 2017. And then another one by Wasserman in 2014 regarding Kenyan journalism and how the side-by-side development of the media industry along with the rest of the economy led to a foothold by the economy on the media, forcing a state of insecurity in the media that didn't allow for open opposition to corruption in any form. Kenyan journal, like and I'm gonna quote myself on this because I think it's a good tie-in. Kenyan journalism developed side by side with their economy during the past decades. Their synchronous development gave the market the opportunity to undermine the independence of Kenya's relatively new media organizations, which needed funding in order to survive in an unstable democracy that was unused to open, democratic media. Advertisers saw the opportunity and took it, presenting themselves as a solution and gift to the unaware media, but much like the Trojan horse, they invaded and took control of media production. With this control, advertisers took responsibility for what was published in the news, and they were happy to do so. Like the case in Kenya, 62 countries in total that fell under the classification of an insecure democracy were analyzed. It was revealed that the rate of journalistic assassinations was vastly increased due to the corruption of wealthy executives and government officials that wanted to silence the ability for journalists to seek truth and report it. And that phrasing is important, seek truth and report it, because there are four main stages of the Society of Professional Journalism's Code of Ethics on a global scale the first one is seeking truth and reporting it and being willing to expose corruption even within your own organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So Belarus is taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The more I wrote, the more I realized that we're not exactly headed away from that same fate as an American society. You know,
Kind
it's
of.
kind
Elaborate on that.
it's kind of
Is that just because of the advertisers' control over the media? Is that what you're tying that
partly,
into? Or?
yeah. I'm trying to find where I wrote about that exactly. Um, well, because it ties into the fact that advertisers have control over the media, and because they have such a strong hold over what gets published instead of the gatekeepers in media. And gatekeeping is a generally negative term referred to by pop culture as somebody who refuses somebody else to get involved with a a part of culture because they don't understand it or they don't think they deserve to be part of it. But gatekeepers in media are people who decide what gets published and how much of something gets published or when it gets published. And because
Gotcha.
advertisers and executives are profit driven and force they force media to be profit driven, they're left without much of an opportunity to know exactly how much room they're going to have left over when it's all advertisement. And in a capitalistic society like our own, we are slowly falling under the heel of media oligarchy, and yeah, and eventually, whether or not it's a government official silencing the news, which we've already seen in some instances, it'll inevitably become corporation.
Oh yeah. Well, it's coming to that, point of either it's corporatized, I guess, over,
Yeah,
over overly controlled by corporate interests, or alternatively incapable of reporting due to bipartisan
right.
disagreements or disputes, which again ties into my whole thing when it comes to politics, especially amongst the legislature, that compromise has been a critical part of democracy, look, back throughout history. Sometimes it's been for better, sometimes it's been for worse, but each time that's how it was meant to function. And nowadays we're looking at more of you're either with it or against it. You're either for or in opposition to. There's no willingness to talk to the other side, to engage with them, and that's a problem.
Right. Um, and like as a whole, Americans seem to be ignorant to the nature of journalistic autonomy, which is how much control and authority journalists can exercise within their organizations. Another paragraph from my paper. There's a lack of awareness regarding how authority seen being enforced by journalists is dependent on clearance from another higher authority within their organizations, or in the cases of today's media, advertisers granted that higher authority. Basically, just saying people don't understand that journalists don't have as much power or can flex as much authority as we think they can. The
Hmm.
courts of America
And I
are
think,
indicative on the ignorance towards the necessary permissions that journalists require to act on the authority granted to them by the professional careers. A 1996 court case ruled that journalistic autonomy was viewed as much stronger than is the case. Judge Norman Johnson suggested that journalists were, quote, artistic professionals, end quote, because they had to take intellectual liberties in the construction of news stories and fact gathering through refined interview skills, but they don't have the authority to follow those stories or seek those interviews if they're not given permission to cover it. And people don't realize that. And the courts
and
definitely
then
aren't
that
ruling in a way that makes that obvious.
turns into the general reception to the media being it's all tilted, all twisted to communicate a certain message, because it is, like we were talking about, well, like we learned about throughout all of any English class, but especially focused upon an AP Lang. There's always a slant, there's always an angle that the writer's going at, whether it was published now or 100 years ago. The problem is that now that control that slant is being controlled by non journalistic nor independent sources.
Right. And eventually, journalism and media as a whole is going to get undermined by advertisers who are just circumnavigating the media gatekeepers and media as a whole just by using social media and finding different platforms in order to push their agendas. Applegate 2011 article by a researcher named Applegate explained that 70% of newspapers are advertisements. 70% of the information that people seek are advertisements. And
And this isn't
sometimes,
you're looking through your newspaper and it's an ad in the newspaper.
actually, it
It's more
is.
of, is it?
It can be, yeah. And
I thought that was referring to more of content.
well, it can
Like,
be too. It could be both. 70% of it could be
oh, okay, so
ads, like actual
it's not
advertisements, and the
distinguishing.
other 30% has a chance to just be articles written by advertisers about themselves, or
Gotcha.
or people being forced to write articles about them. And that's where the gatekeepers are kind of left unclear because they don't know how much advertisement's going to get put in because they're not involved in the decision making made by the advertisers who are let into the newsrooms. You know?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've got a lot of nasal stuff going
No,
on.
you're okay. You're okay.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
Uh,
journalism versus the world, we're kind of losing.
uh, yeah. The problem is we have yet to find an economic model that functions. Communism didn't work because it focused too much upon the government not being corrupt and, there being no formation of an inner circle, as was seen in the USSR, which led to its inevitable downfall. Capitalism has worked longer, not necessarily better, in terms of corruption. It relies on corruption and expects that to occur, but without it being sufficiently regulated by the government, it can get very out of hand very fast, as was seen in the Gilded era, the late 1800s. Um, it's gotten better since then, but it's still not fantastic. Um, and of course, the only other competing economic ideologies out there at this point are mercantilism, which is irrelevant, and that's about it. But
Right.
part of my pontification there.
No, you're okay. I got distracted by something else.
No worries.
I was still scrolling through the New York Times, and I found something else that I think is slightly hilarious. And you had mentioned this the other day. The article about yearbook photos of girls altered to hide their chest.
Yes.
I'd like to mention that this is the worst editing I've ever seen.
Right.
So on the left, you have a picture of a girl, and like, there's nothing even too revealing. It's just the fact that, oh, it's acknowledging the fact that she is a woman because she has the slightest bit of cleavage coming out the top of a shirt and a cardigan over the shirt. Like, it's not like a redneck crop top, that you'd expect
Yeah,
out of
like
some Floridians.
if they had gone in not wearing short shirts or wearing something incredibly inappropriate, that'd have
Right.
been a
No, but this is
different matter.
a tasteful outfit. But then you look at this and look at the one on the left versus the one on the right. It's so clearly edited, and the black bar isn't even it doesn't even try to make it look realistic. And like her face gets whiter and zoomed in. Like look at how that's edited.
Uh-huh.
Like
No,
I could do a
it's
better job than that.
it looks like even, you already obviously proud of the resolution being zoomed in. It's a lot blurrier. It also seems darker because of that.
Hmm.
Like look at the blue in the background too, and it's
Like in
not
such
that
an intense black on the left that if you just moved up the line and dragged a little bit of editing, you could have done that like perfectly. No, just that's me looking at it from a digital standpoint and actually like an editing standpoint. Like if you're attempting to do that, who do they get to do that? The people that took the photos, because the people who take the photos, they're not photo editors. They are people who click, drag a background on, and they're done. People who take
I'd be
yearbook
willing
photos
to
are not
bet
photographers or editors.
I'd be willing to bet they took whoever was the photography teacher at the time
Oh well,
or
I
something.
learned how Photoshop from my photography teacher. So it's not them. It couldn't have been them. Otherwise, they're the worst kind of person to be teaching that stuff. Because
This
photo
is
editing is
Florida.
a part of photography. Florida isn't even that far down in the list of education, are they?
I'm not
And
talking about education. I'm talking about political radicalism. But
I don't understand how that ties.
have you? I'm not going to waste
I'm
the time to explain it.
okay.
Point being,
Well, fuck, dude. God damn. What? I'm not going to waste the time to explain it. Sorry.
No. It's going to take too long in the podcast for me to elaborate upon why I think there's a connection there. We're
There's
already
been
at
rumor
what,
all
10,
day that
about
the
10
yearbook
minutes
photos
left?
had been altered. It said Riley O'Keefe, a ninth grader at Bartman. So they got a ninth grader to be the main reference for this. So, whatever.
Gotcha.
At Bartman Trail High School in St. Johns County, Florida. When she finally got her copy, Miss O'Keefe, 15, opened the page to her photo and laughed in disbelief. A black bar and added to cover more of her chest, she said. Then Mrs. O'Keefe thumbed through the rest of the yearbook. Dozens of other students, all girls, had similar edits, many of them clumsy alterations that covered more of their chests. Many students and parents on Saturday were demanding an apology, and on Monday the district superintendent, Tim Forson, said there was not sufficient review of the steps taken before the decision was made to edit some of the students' pictures. Miss O'Keefe said she had been confused at first, then furious. Other girls approached her and said the alteration made him feel sexualized and exposed. Reasonably so.
Mm-hmm.
Why you gotta, like, the fact that you're trying to cover it up means you acknowledged it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Plus,
they didn't
I think
walk
I
in
brought this up,
topless.
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think I brought this up earlier, but I don't know if the yearbook's that significant of an area for a school to be looking at,
No,
application
it's
of
not.
dress code policy, whatever they want to call it. But yeah, no, especially when it comes to ideas of body image, of, self-esteem. This was callous, it was disrespectful, irrational. Do not agree with this at all. It's
At least 80 photos of female students were altered. No pictures of male students, including ones of the swim teams in which boys were wearing Speedo bathing suits, were digitally altered. So, they didn't
we
even
want to
cover
talk
their
about
bases.
conflicting policies. Oh my
Mr.
gosh.
Forson said in a statement that it was disappointing to be addressing the student picture situation. That's the entire statement. He continued, certainly there has never been an intent to embarrass or shame any students for the clothes they wear. Unfortunately, we are learning a valuable lesson in the importance of process and understanding the intent that is not always the result. What the fuck was your intention? To make them feel sexualized and ashamed? Obviously not, but that's what you were going to do regardless if you changed the photos at all. No matter how you edit a photo, if you're walking into a photo saying, this person doesn't look right, and it's because of a part of their body that is inherently sexualized by society, you're not going to not make them feel sexualized.
No. And frankly, worst case scenario, say there was some egregious violation of the dress code, then just call the parents, call the student, what have you, and say, hey, we need you to retake your photo. It's, we feel it's improper to be put into the yearbook. Or you take some more.
That's who did it.
What?
A teacher who served as the yearbook coordinator made the edits. So
Gotcha.
probably the journalism teacher, if they had one. Bartram Trail, a public high school with about 2,500 students, says on its website that yearbook photos must be consistent with the St. Johns County School District Student Code of Conduct or may be digitally altered. What about that photo is against the school conduct? What about it?
Yeah, no, it's...
She said the school was offering refunds and offering refunds. Yeah, that's gonna fix it. Offering refunds and receiving feedback from parents, guardians, and students on making this process better for next year. If you're gonna do it, get somebody to make it a lot more subtle. And do a better job. Shirts must be modest and not revealing or distracting, the dress code states. Well, I think that'll do it. Bottom line is, the human body is not a violation. And just do better edits. If you're gonna edit a photo, get someone who's not the yearbook coordinator. It could have damn well been the history guy, Like, oh my god, what an edit. Woo!
I'm just curious as to how the resolution changed like that. I mean,
Why did it change?
I think
Why did they zoom in? Why did they zoom in? Did they zoom in before or after the edit? What's wrong with this teacher? That's the real question. What's wrong with this teacher? Oh god, I don't know, man. Florida. Yet again. What the fuck? Anyways, you have anything to set him off with?
Not today.
No?
Nope, I'm good for now.
Well, if you're anywhere in the Midwest, I hope you're enjoying the weather as much as we are.
Endure the swarm.
Endure the swarm and try not to melt. Yeah, everybody take it easy, and do me a favor, stomp as many of those cicadas as you can. Bye.